Hari Om. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic I have chosen, Know Thyself. Sri Ramakrishna has dealt with this subject very nicely in the Gospel. When we analyze a number of obvious facts in our daily life, we find a profound insight into our real nature and gain the way to unalloyed bliss. We are all living in this world, carrying on various types of activities, becoming more and more involved in the worldly things and affairs, making the life more and more complicated. As a result, becoming more and more unhappy and passing through lots of difficulties and pain and suffering. So, the life in this world is carried on by likes and dislikes. As long as a person is playing with the toys, there is no way he can understand the seriousness of the life. It's only when you become aware of the facts, turning your life towards spiritual, then only it means the real life has started. So, that means the real life and the apparent life, apparent real. The worldly life is apparently real, but not really real. The real life is spiritual life. That means one has to turn himself towards spirituality, and he must put maximum effort to achieve that. Until we turn spiritual, we are all under some illusion, under some dream, under some fantasies. That means we are all landed in Maya. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, what is Maya really? It is nothing but the egotism of the embodied soul. This egotism has covered everything like a veil. All troubles come to an end when the ego dies. If by the grace of God a person but once realizes that he is not the doer, then he at once becomes a Jivan Mukta. Though living in the body, he is liberated. He has nothing else to fear. This Maya, that is to say, the ego, is like a cloud. The sun cannot be seen on account of a thin patch of cloud. When that disappears, one sees the sun. If by the grace of the Guru's compassion, one's ego vanishes, then one sees God. Sri Ramakrishna tells further, Sri Ramachandra, who is God himself, was only 2.5 cubits ahead of Lakshman. But Lakshman couldn't see Sri Rama because Sita stood between them. Lakshman may be compared to the Jiva and Sita to Maya. Man cannot see God on account of the barrier of Maya. Just look, Sri Ramakrishna immediately demonstrates. I am creating a barrier in front of my face with this towel. Now you can't see me even though I am so near. Likewise, God is the nearest of all, but we can't see him on account of this covering of Maya. The Jiva, the embodied soul, he is nothing but the embodiment of Satchidananda. But since Maya, or ego, has created various upadhis, he has forgotten his real self. Upadhis means adjuncts. Each upadhi changes man's nature. If he wears a fine black bordered cloth, you will at once find him humming Nidhu Babu's love songs, then playing cards and a walking stick follow. If even a sick man puts on high boots, he begins to whistle and climbs the stairs like an Englishman, jumping from one step to another. If a man but holds a pen in his hand, he scribbles on any paper he can get hold of. Such is the power of the pen. And money is also a great upadhi. The possession of money makes such a difference in a man. He is no longer the same person. Sri Ramakrishna tells his experience. A Brahmin used to frequent the temple garden. Outwardly he was very modest. One day, Sri Ramakrishna went to Konnagar with Hriday. No sooner did he got off the boat than Sri Ramakrishna noticed the Brahmin seated on the bank of the Ganges. Sri Ramakrishna thought probably he had been enjoying the fresh air. But it was not so. Looking at us, Sri Ramakrishna says, looking at Sri Ramakrishna and Hridaya, that Brahmin cried out, "Hello there, priest, how do you do?" I marked his tone, Sri Ramakrishna said. And then Sri Ramakrishna said to Hridaya, "See, the man must have got some money. That's why he talks that way." Hridaya laughed. Another example Sri Ramakrishna gives, beautiful. A frog had a rupee which he kept in his hole. One day, an elephant was going over the hole. And the frog, coming out in a fit of anger, raised his foot as if to kick the elephant and said, "How dare you walk over my head?" Such is the pride that money begets. One can get rid of the ego after the attainment of knowledge. That means spiritual knowledge. Knowledge of true self. On attaining knowledge, one goes into Samadhi because he experiences immense bliss, immense joy, unadulterated, tremendously great, inspiring happiness. And when he reaches that state of Samadhi, the ego disappears. But it is very difficult to obtain such knowledge. It is said in the Vedas that a person experiences Samadhi when his mind ascends to the seventh plane. We have got 7 planes in our system. The ego can disappear only when one goes into Samadhi. Where does the mind of a man ordinarily dwell? Sri Ramakrishna himself poses the question and he himself gives the answer. He tells in the first 3 planes. What are those planes? These are the organs of evacuation and generation, and at the navel, these are the 3 planes where the mind of ordinary people dwell. Then the mind is immersed only in worldliness, attached to lust and gold. A man sees the light of God when his mind dwells in the plane of the heart. That's why we always say, try to meditate, concentrate on the heart center. And when a person establishes himself well in the heart center, he sees the light and exclaims, "Ah, what is this? What is this?" He is joyful. The next plane is at the throat. When the mind dwells there, he likes to hear and talk only of God. When the mind ascends the next plane, in the forehead, between the eyebrows, he sees the form of Chidananda and desires to touch and embrace it. But he is unable to do so. Why? It is like the light in a lantern, which you can see but can't touch. You feel as if you are touching the light, but in reality you are not. But when the mind reaches the 7th plane, then the ego vanishes completely and the man goes into Samadhi. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, one is aware of pleasure and pain birth and death, disease and grief, as long as one is identified with the body. All these belong to the body alone and not to the soul. After the death of the body, perhaps God carries one to a better place. It is like the birth of a child after the pain of delivery. Attaining self-knowledge, one looks on pleasure and pain, birth and death as a dream. A 16-year-old boy of Trichy, near Madurai. His name was Venkata Ramana. He was caught by an inexplicable dread of death, rather death experience, as he preferred to call it. This experience made that boy an introvert, and he began his self-inquiry about the meaning of death, such as whether it pertains to the body, etc. And this boy was Ramana Maharshi. He searched for something that is real and imperishable. Ramana Maharshi became one of the great saints because he realized his true self. Then the spiritual journey is over. He is ever immersed in peace and bliss, peace and bliss. No more suffering, no more fear of birth and death, no more fear of the world, of entangling oneself in Maya. Maya is totally revealed. If you take another example, the attention of the young prince Siddhartha, the son of King Shuddhodhan, he was moved by human sufferings, old age and death. When he became aware of these facts, he was shocked to learn the sufferings in his apparently looking pleasant world. Immediately he made a decision. What? Is it all the world means? Suffering, birth and death? I must find out the truth. So because he was serious and sincere, he left his hearth and home, leaving behind his most dear, beautiful young wife and a just newborn son. He left everything, went to a forest to explore, to know one's own self. Who am I? Later, Siddhartha emerged as Lord Buddha, who gave the message of compassion and love to the whole world. Here are two examples, Ramana Maharshi and Siddhartha, who were drawn to the pursuit of perfection in the wake of personal experiences to which they were forced by mere chance. They were confronted with questions such as, what's the force which manifests itself through the human body? What's the real nature of this mysterious force, this life principle? What am I? Is death the end of human life? Man has been seeking answers to these queries from the beginning of civilization. And the conclusion that great ones have come to is that the reality behind man is not his body, mind or intellect, but something beyond all this, which is the motive force that enlivens everything in the world. Swami Vivekananda has said in one of his complete works, whatsoever has form must be the result of combinations of particles and requires something else behind to move it. This something which is essential for activating these particles, that is called the soul, the Atman. After thorough investigation into the nature of the spirit of man, the soul of man, the life principle, they proclaimed that this Atman is formless, most perfect, infinite, happiness pure, love incarnate and peace. It is omnipresent and omniscient. Another great Maharshi, Ashtavakra, he puts it, Atman is the witness, all-pervading, perfect, non-dual, free consciousness, actionless, unattached, desireless and quiet. How is the truth arrived at? The older generation had strong belief and ardent faith in the Vedas. To them, Vedas were words of God and as such holy and sacred. Whatever was mentioned in the Vedas was accepted wholeheartedly without reservation. But times have changed. Man's reasoning faculty has very much developed, and even a common individual does not take anything lying flat. The critical mind of the present age doesn't accept any creed or any statement without questioning. Nothing is swallowed without a salt. So let us see if we can arrive at the nature of the Atman from the actual daily practical experience and life of ordinary man. We can't conceive matter or material without form, and that which has a form must have a beginning. Even the sun and the planets which have form had a beginning. If it has a beginning, it must have an end also. So matter must have a birth and death. That means it is limited, finite, conditioned by space. As beginning and end denote time, that which has a beginning and end is limited by time. Hence, that which has a form must have a beginning and end, and so is transient. A thing which is matter or material can be manufactured as it has a beginning. A wave which has a form is caused or formed from the water of the sea. Water, conditioned by space and time, emerges as wave. Here, the wave is the effect or manifestation, and water is the cause. Thus, causality is a child of time. That which cannot be caused cannot be an effect. It is beyond time. It has no beginning nor end, no birth or death. It is immortal, beyond time, and omnipresent, beyond space. It is not limited. It is infinite. Infinite cannot be two. So it is one and one only. Hence, Atman, which is formless, is beyond space, time and causality. Now let us take the case of the ordinary man. Man is eager to conquer space and time. In fact, he does not like to be restricted by these. He wants to expand and he wants to be free. That's why the ordinary man always wants a change, a variety in every walk of life. If one is stagnated in one position, leading a regular routine, monotonous life, even if it is comfortable, he feels unhappy. He will say, there is no life, I am fed up. If one takes a very tasty food continuously for a few days, he gets eager to have something different. This urge for change comes from within. Why this urge? It is an expression of man's eagerness to transcend the barriers of space and time. Another urge in man is a craving for freedom. All want to be free, independent. Freedom from want, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. These are the slogans of the day. None likes to be tied down or restricted in his growth or movement. Even a bird or an animal, when caged, tries to escape from bondage at the very first opportunity. Let us take the case of a prisoner who is housed in a beautiful bungalow with all amenities for his bodily, mental, and intellectual satisfaction and enjoyment, like good and tasty dishes, comfortable and costly clothing, books and magazines of his choice, radio, TV set, etc. The only restriction is that he has to be inside the four walls. Still we find that he does not wish to remain there and wants to come out even under pain of losing all the comforts he is provided inside. From this it is evident that his craving for freedom is not emanating from his body, mind and intellect, which are fully satisfied, but from a much deeper source, the inner spirit in him, the Atman. No one wants loss or destruction. The sense of immortality is such a strong conviction in man that even after seeing the death of persons all around him, no one feels that one day or other he too will die. He moves about as if he is deathless, immortal. Death, destruction, or loss is beyond his comprehension, because his inner spirit knows no death. The greatest ambition of man is to become perfect. Even in the material or worldly sphere, when one wants to achieve a thing, it is usual to fix up a target and make all attempts to realize that target or goal. To achieve perfection also, man conceives an ideal beforehand, and enshrining that ideal in the sacred recesses of his heart, he regulates his conduct in accordance with his exactions and demands. Such an ideal is God. God is the highest manifestation of the human mind and the most perfect he can comprehend. Hence he attributes to God all the good qualities he can conceive. No one wants God to be imperfect. This craving for perfection is inborn in him, since the Atman, the inner core of man, is already perfect. Wish you a happy Christmas, happy Diwali, happy Pongal, happy birthday. Like this we make greetings. These are the greetings usually exchanged. No one uses the word pleasure in any of these. It shows man wants happiness and not pleasure. Pleasure and pain are the obverse and reverse sides of the same coin. Man prefers happiness to pleasure, as the pleasure is transient and evanescent. All his activities in every walk of life are aimed at attaining happiness. Why does he madly chase wealth, power and fame? Just to get happiness. This search for happiness never ends, because he never gets at the sort of happiness he wants. Man is normally extrovert, and he has a strong conviction that sense objects are sources of happiness. Hence he scans the objective world for happiness. Soon he finds that a particular object which gave him happiness at one time is not able to provide the same to him at another time. Also it is seen that the goodness or badness of an object doesn't depend on the object but on the perceiver. For example, classical music, it may be relishing and refreshing to some, but galling to others. A certain dish may be tasty and palatable to some, but others may hate it. Hence it cannot be concluded that classical music or the particular dish is good or bad. It depends on the perceiver. The sense of beauty also varies with individuals. A thing is loved for its happiness value. Of all things, man loves himself at most. Hence it is evident that self has a maximum happiness value. Rather, self, the Atman, is happiness itself. It is common experience When a man feels refreshed after sound sleep, he expresses the happiness of his experience on waking up. He feels offended if he is disturbed from his deep sleep. He is so happy and peaceful that he is unwilling to come out of it. If we analyze the deep sleep state, we find that the body, senses, mind and intellect are completely at rest. But something must have witnessed with the deep sleep, otherwise how can he claim to have enjoyed the sound sleep on waking up? This witness is none other than the Atman, the true self. There was complete peace during the deep sleep state, and hence Atman is peace itself. The same is the case of the man when he is fully absorbed in any activity. Suppose a person is fully engrossed in reading a novel. He is so fully absorbed in the story that he may not even hear somebody calling him. He may get annoyed if he is disturbed. In that activity, he stands identified with the story. There is story and story alone. No reader, doer or enjoyer. This is another instance of man unwilling to part with happiness, his true nature. If one looks up at the sky, one can notice clouds moving. The movement of the cloud is noticeable because of the steady blue sky in the background. Moving pictures projected on a screen are visible as there is a fixed screen in the background. The movement of a train is observable with respect to the stationary platform. Only a changeless thing can examine anything that is changing. Only a changeless thing can examine anything that is changing. Man is able to perceive changes because he is changeless. Hence, he is a changeless background of all his perceptions. That is, his real nature is a changeless background, the Atman, the real self. It seems a name is given to him by his parents as if to draw his attention to the changeless principle in him, the Atman. Man grows from his babyhood to old age and leaves his mortal coil. Throughout his life, everything pertaining to him changes. His body, mind, intellect. But his name remains unchanged. It remains even after his death. Thus, by an analytical study of the life of an ordinary man, we come to know that the real nature of man is Satchidananda, existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, shining in its own glory as a changeless background, the Atman. So once you realize this real identity with your true self, that gives you permanent peace and happiness. So, know thyself. Concentrate upon knowing who you are. And the very process of learning to know thyself is uplifting and gives you a glimpse of joy on the way. So Sri Ramakrishna has given clear instruction how to get out of this Maya, how to raise our mind to the seventh plane. Till then, our spiritual journey is not closed. So, as long as we are in this world, spiritual life is not started. As long as the spiritual life is not started, you can't have real peace or happiness. So, knowing yourself, fixing that goal, God is nothing but your own self. The all-pervading Atman residing in everyone's heart. That universal consciousness, the realization of that consciousness gives you immense peace and bliss. Page 829. Sri Ramakrishna engaged happily in conversation with Bhupen, Dvija, M, and others on the southeast porch of his room. He playfully slapped Bhupen and M on the back. He said to Dvija with laugh, "How I talked to your father." Dvija's father returned to Sri Ramakrishna's room after dusk. He intended to leave shortly. He was feeling hot. Sri Ramakrishna fanned him himself. In a few minutes, the father took leave of the master. Sri Ramakrishna stood up to bid him farewell. It was 8 o'clock. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to Mahimacharan. Rakal, M, and one or two companions of Mahimacharan were in the room. Mahimacharan was going to spend the night at the temple garden. Master said to Mahima, "Well, how do you find Kadar? Has he only seen milk or has he drunk it too?" Mahima said, "Yes, he is enjoying bliss." Master, "Nitya Gopal?" Mahima, "Very good. He is in a lofty state of mind." Master, "Yes, well, what about Girish Ghosh?" Mahima, "He too has developed nicely, but he belongs to another class." Master, "And Narendra?" Mahima, "He is now in the state I was in 15 years ago." Master said, "The younger Naren, how guileless he is?" Mahima answered, "Yes, quite guileless." Master said, "You are right." Reflecting a little, "Let me see who else. It will be sufficient for the youngsters who come here if they know only two things. If they know these, they will not have to practice much discipline and austerity. First, who I am, and second, who they are." Many of the youngsters belong to the inner circle. Those belonging to the inner circle will not attain liberation. I shall have to assume a human body again in a northwesterly direction. Northwesterly, it is written here. Northwest. I feel peace of mind when I see the youngsters. How can I feel joy at the sight of those who have begotten children and are engaged in lawsuits and are involved in lust and gold? How could I live without seeing pure-souled persons? Mahimachan recited some texts from the scriptures. He also described various mystic rites of the Tantra. Master said, "Well, some say that my soul, going into Samadhi, flies about like a bird in the Mahakasha, the infinite space." Once a sadhu of Rishikesh came here. He said to me, "There are 5 kinds of Samadhi. I find you have experienced them all. In these Samadhis, one feels the sensation of the spiritual current to be like the movement of an ant, a fish, a monkey, a bird, or a serpent. Sometimes the spiritual current rises through the spine, crawling like an ant. Sometimes in Samadhi, the soul swims joyfully in the ocean of divine ecstasy like a fish. Sometimes when I lie down on my side, I feel the spiritual current pushing me like a monkey and playing with me joyfully. I remain still. That current, like a monkey, suddenly with one jump reaches the Sahasrara. That's why you see me jump with a start. Sometimes again the spiritual current rises like a bird hopping from one branch to another. The place where it rests feels like fire. It may hop from Muladhara to Swadhisthana, from Swadhisthana to the heart, and thus gradually to the head. Sometimes the spiritual current moves up like a snake, going in a zigzag way. At last it reaches the head and I go into Samadhi. A man's spiritual consciousness is not awakened unless his kundalini is aroused. Let us stop here. You are welcome to ask any question or discussion. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drown deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bought for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how used then is wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasing the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I am reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one, in thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be 1,000 years, when my heart burns with desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good bread all people, may the sovereign righteous rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good. May the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.